Yeah, okay. So we stopped here at the first page when I was still reading, introduction or the first page of the story when we have learned a lot of information about the character Emily and her position in society and the exaggeration. I think the real exaggeration that the writer really is drawing here around her, by using words like monument and, like to bury her among the martyrs of the Battle of Independence and so on. So really, these are all signs of exaggeration. And I think he wants us, to understand and then be shocked by her behavior at the end of the day. So here, when you see her the first time, of course, according to the narrator, here at the bottom of this first page, they rose when she entered, a small fat woman in black with a thin gold chain descending to her waist and vanishing into her belt, leaning on an ebony cane with tarnished gold head. Now notice the, really high class, if you like, epithets that the narrator is using here, the way he describes her, the way she looks and the way she's dressed and the way she's looking up, in like a very sort of rich, really strangely rich woman, the way he's, saying about the golden chain and also the tarnished gold head of the stick or the ebony cane that she was carrying. As if he's saying, she's such a high class lady when, we understand the irony later on. She's a wicked, terrible, ugly, sick, really woman. Her skeleton was small and spare. Again, notice, the way he uses the word skeleton. Normally, we don't say this to people, her skeleton. Perhaps that was why what would have been merely plumpness in another way, in another was obesity in her. So she was a plumpish kind of girl, plumpish means a bit fat, a little bit fattish, young, well, not young really, she's no longer young here. She's a fat looking woman. But again, he's saying obesity, in some places or some people may call this not fat, but she would be described as being obese, really. Someone who's really extremely fat and maybe to the extent that it's not even healthy. This is really the difference between obesity, and I'm sure maybe the word and the phrase, how it's used maybe in modern context. Are you there, boys and girls? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So my voice is clear. Okay, good. Yeah. So as I said, the way the narrator here giving us step by step this graphic, sometimes really amazing and sometimes shocking description of Emily. She looked bloated. Again, look at the verb or the adjective bloated. As if to say being small, swollen, or again, because the word bloated here really, it's a sign of not healthy again. Being blown up or being swollen, like a body long submerged in motionless water. Yeah, this is an ugly, terrifying, description, like a dead body, when a dead body being thrown in water. Not just, he's saying motionless water. So the body will be strongly and terribly deformed. And of that pale hue, her eyes lost in the fatty rides of her face looked like two small pieces of coal pressed into a lump of dough. I think all this, if you can draw, if you can really draw, they can draw for us this picture. The way she looks really very strange, and her face and he said her eyes like pieces of coal, small, tiny black coal pressed into a lump. He said, a lump of dough, dough, which is, when you make bread, the first time or the first early parts of making bread, which is the dough. And, they said that the eyes sticking in a lump of dough, which is really very funny, as they moved from one face to another while the visitors stated their errand. So here are these people coming here to tell her, we want our taxes. Why aren't you paying taxes? And the way she looked at them, she even didn't say any word. She just went, saw them and noticed. She did not ask them to sit. She just stood in the door and listened quietly until the spokesman came to a stumbling halt. Then they could hear the invisible watch ticking at the end of the golden chain. So she was standing and listening to them complaining, the person speaking, and she was absolutely quiet and listening. Even the whole atmosphere is terrifying. Nobody is, sure what is she's going to say. So even they said they hear the ticking of the clock, or he said the watch ticking at the end of the chain. Her voice was dry and cold. This is the only sentence she says to them. And here the narrator is describing her voice when she said, I have no taxes in Jefferson. This is the sentence here. She said the first sentence, she says, I have no taxes in Jefferson. Colonel Sartoris explained it to me. Perhaps one of you can gain access to the city records and satisfy yourselves. Meaning, I don't pay taxes. And go and check your records. I'm not going to explain it to you. Goodbye. So very brief, she said to them, the old mayor, she wants to say, Colonel Sartoris, the previous mayor, she said, explained it to me. Meaning she is not even willing to tell them why. She's not in the mood to explain or to say anything. But we are the city authorities, Miss Emily. Didn't you get a notice from the sheriff signed by him? They said to her, yeah, but we did. We have checked our records. We found nothing. And the sheriff sent you a message. Didn't you receive it? I received a paper, yes, Miss Emily said. Perhaps he considers himself the sheriff. I have no taxes in Jefferson. Look at the arrogance. Perhaps he thinks. Perhaps he considers himself the sheriff. Yeah, he's a man of authority. Yeah, maybe he thinks so, but not on me. I don't care about him. I don't care about him. Perhaps. So notice here the arrogance, really, the terrible, absolute arrogance, as if she's something, But there's nothing on the books to show that, you see. We must go by that. They wanted to say, come on, we have nothing in our records. And you have to go by the law. And the law says you have to pay taxes. See, Colonel Sartoris, I have no taxes in Jefferson. Yeah, I think this sentence should be, the next line really should be here. Yeah. Yeah, should be the next page. So she's saying to them here again, see, Colonel Sartoris, I have no taxes in Jefferson. Again, you know, she repeats the same thing. But Miss Emily, and she repeats again, see, Colonel Sartoris. And the narrator says to us, Colonel Sartoris had been dead almost 10 years. Oh, what a shame. So she's saying to them, go and see the man, but the man is dead 10 years ago. So it means she has no idea, because, yeah, of course she has no idea, because she, for the last 10 years, she's never been out. So yeah, she doesn't know. So what she's saying to them, see Colonel Sartoris, and they were shocked, because they know that Colonel Sartoris is dead. Who's he? And she repeats again, I have no taxes in Jefferson, Toby. Or I should read Toby in another sentence, really, here. She wants to say here. She said to them, I have no taxes in Jefferson. And then she said, Toby, the Negro appeared. Show these gentlemen out. What a terrible girl. What a terrible woman. As we say in Syria, in this expression, Suha, if you want to say to somebody in your, if you don't like somebody who came to you, I mean, as like a guest, or you want to say to something, يعني, I don't like you, get lost. What do you say?
تفضل.
Huh?
تفضل. Yeah, we use the same word for welcoming people and kick them out.
Yeah, I mean, I know. But how do you say it? Like, do you have an expression in Arabic? We have in Syria something really nice expression. We say, تفضل من غير مطرود.
Yeah, we use the same.
Do you say that? تفضل من غير مطرود?
Yeah.
يعني انقلع.
أيوه. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
But we don't say انقلع. We say تفضل من غير مطرود. Yeah. Really, it's funny, isn't it? This is exactly what she said. That's what she said to Toby. She said to Toby, her servant, she said to him, show these gentlemen out. You know, show them the door, meaning, مع السلامة. Yalla. I have no time for you. Wow. I mean, you know, this is, of course, the first shock here. For example, we say, come on, what's wrong with this woman here? Now, look at this sentence here, the narrator really in the next section. She, you know, really, this is a lovely passage by the narrator. So she vanquished them, horse and foot, just as she had vanquished their fathers 30 years ago. 30 years before, about the smell. So now the narrator is bringing us back again into another 30 years back. And what does it mean here? She vanquished them, horse and foot. Yeah, what's vanquish here? Anybody? Vanquish? Yeah, really the idea here is that she totally, you know, she totally kicked them all away. She was totally in control and she kicked everybody. But what is this horse and foot? Yeah, Suha.
I think it. I think it is an English expression, but I mean
Yeah,
English statement, but
yeah,
I don't know. I can't think of anything Arabic like that.
yeah. But why horse and what is horse here? Why horse and foot? Yani, what does it mean? What does she want to say, or what does the narrator is saying? She conquered them. She kicked them all, horse and foot. Anybody, boys? Hello? You are asleep. You are still asleep. You are still asleep. I'm 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 afraid you are asleep. I'm going to put you all absent. Hmm? Sumaya, Razan, Buthaina, where are you? Hanin.
We are here, Doctor.
Yes, doctor.
We are here.
So you're not asleep.
No.
What is horse and foot here? What is horse and foot?
Maybe she was fighting them.
She's not fighting them, no. Can
Maybe
you
she
think of, huh?
as a groups and as individuals. Horse mean groups and foot mean individuals. I don't know, something like that.
يعني شوي قربتي يا رزان، يعني ها حبة كده. ها؟ Come on.
Maybe it's not comparable.
Yeah, I know you are young people and maybe you are still half asleep and you can't think. But for me, I had my breakfast, I'm wide awake. Yeah, really, these people came on their horses. Some of them were riding their horses and some of them were on foot. They came walking. So these people who came to her, they were on horses and some on foot. So she conquered everybody, those people who were riding horses and those people who were walking on their feet. So she conquered everyone, the whole army of them, men on horses and men on foot. She kicked everybody. Wow. You know, so this is really, yeah, Muhammad said, riders and walkers. Yeah, very good, Muhammad. Yeah, I didn't see this. When did you say that? Oh, he said it 3 minutes ago. Yeah. Yeah, Muhammad. Yes, thank you, Muhammad. I didn't see your comment here. Yeah, absolutely. Riders and walkers. Very good, Muhammad. Yeah, because here really that's the idea. You know, horses, or just say horse and foot. This is a really amazing, English expression. Yeah, and Faulkner is, as I told you, really is an amazing, really powerful writer. And now he's saying, she conquered them now, she kicked them away now, and as she did years and years back, she did the same with their parents, because their parents, their fathers, I mean, these people, the town people in the same way came to her once before, 30 years ago. Before there was a smell, there was a terrible something, they came to her. he said, yeah, about the smell. So they came to complain about the smell because there was a terrible thing. And now we know, of course, what smell. And the narrator, so notice here. That was 2 years after her father's death, and a short time after her sweetheart, the one we believed would marry her, deserted her. After her father's death, she went out very little after her sweetheart went away. People hardly saw her at all. A few of the ladies had the temerity to call, but were not received. The only sign of life about the place was the Negro man then, going in and out with a market basket. So notice the narrator really here summing up and summarizing again the terrible thing, that there was a smell, a bad smell coming from the house. And that was when her father, after her father died, 2 years after her father's death. And now the narrator is really foreshadowing to tell us what smell. So now we will see why. Because we will know later in the narrative that, yeah, remember, because here again, when we say after her father's death, yeah, because after her father's death, she met this man, Homer Barron, and everybody thought that they are going to get married. But maybe even people believed and they thought that they would marry, or he would marry her. But then they found out that he is no longer there. So what happened? They thought that he had left her or deserted her, as you say. So they are surprised to see. But here really, that's not the case, because that's what the city people think. It was the smell of his dead body. Homer Barron's dead body, because after her father, she met him. And then after a while, she realized that it was maybe, the decision for her to kill him. And the smell was the smell of his dead body. And the city people came to see what is the source of this smell. But again, as the narrator said, she had vanquished their fathers. In the same way, she kicked them away. Or even she did not let them in. She did not let them in. So that's here when you say after her father's death, people think, what happened? You see, this is the idea that the narrator here is summarizing the story, and then we will have the narrator really William Faulkner. He gave us this little paragraph here to summarize the whole story without giving us any details. But then the details is given, as you can see. The detail is given in through the dialogue by going back into these years. So jumping back to 30 years, and now we see what these people were saying 30 years ago. Just as if any man could keep a kitchen properly, the ladies said. So they were not surprised when the smell developed. It was another link between the gross, steaming world and the high and mighty Griersons. Again, the narrator here is mocking a social issue here, which is the class difference. So here the people in the town, here the narrator is saying she thinks that she's a high-class person. The Griersons, a big family, a rich, really rich, big family. And everybody else in the town, they are normal people or lay people. So as if then the dialogue here, as if to say, well, because women believe, generally, this is the idea. Generally, women believe that men can't do kitchen work. Because that's what she said. Any man could keep a kitchen properly, the ladies said. So they were not surprised when the smell developed, which means, really this sentence means the opposite. Because the women think that the place is smelling bad because the lady here is having a manservant, a cook, and a gardener, and they believe a man could not keep a kitchen clean. Ladies, girls, do you think so?
I don't think so.
No.
Well, if you really, I live here on my own. I have nobody with me here, but my kitchen is spotless, is absolutely spotless. It's shining clean. So why they say men can't keep their kitchen properly? That's not true. But this is the idea, really, the woman, because they are nosy, you see, because they are nosy. Yeah, I agree, really. Sometimes, some men are really very funny and they are not good kitchen keepers. Yes, I agree. But not like this one who is his job is to keep the kitchen. His job is a cook. So he must be a very good cook, So the idea here, the mentality of the people, they think that, this attitude towards, kitchen cooks, and really again to do with how the lay people, how the ordinary poor people think, how the rich people live, and the way they live, and so on. So because they have man servants, so that means their kitchen would be smelly and would be dirty. And that's why they say here, when he said the gross steaming world, meaning how this terrible, the attitude that the poor people in the world, how would they know about the mighty, notice, high and mighty Griersons. I mean, he's very ironical here. High and mighty? Why mighty? Who's mighty? Come on. Really here, the narrator is mocking Emily and her family and her father, because her father, remember, her father kicked all the men away who wanted to marry his daughter, because he thought he's high in class and they are nothing. So he will never accept to marry his daughter to such people. You see, so that's why his arrogance, his terrible arrogance, is really what killed his daughter, what drove his daughter to madness. And here the narrator is saying, they believe the Griersons because she is Grierson. They think they are so high in society, so they can't be touched. MashaAllah. A neighbor, a woman, complained to the mayor Judge Stevens, 80 years old. So one lady came to complain about the smell, and she came to the judge, and the judge, you know, he's an old man, you know, 80 years old. But what will you have? But what will you have me do? Sorry, what will you have me do about it, madam? He said. Why send her a word to stop it? The old woman said, or the woman said. Isn't there a law? You know, here, of course, she's complaining about the smell. And she came to the judge telling him, you should tell her to stop this smell. I mean, there's a law. We can't live like this, and your neighbors, this bad smell coming from your neighbor. So you must suspect that there's something. So there's a law. Yeah, of course. I'm sure that won't be necessary, Judge Stevens said. It's probably just a snake or a rat that nigger of hers killed in the yard. I will speak to him about it. So here the poor judge, in a very normal way, said, well, this smell may be bad smell from a dead snake or a dead rat or something killed in the garden. Yeah, rat and snake. Yeah, because she killed her man, she killed Homer Barron by a poison, rat poison. Later on we shall see. Again here, these are hints about foreshadowing. Yeah, she killed him by rat poison. And here he's saying, there's maybe something killed in the garden. The next day, he received 2 more complaints. One from a man who came in different deprecation. Again, another person came to him and said the same thing. We really must do something about it, Judge. I'd be the last one in the world to bother Miss Emily. But we have to go, but we have got to do something. So everybody is complaining about the smell, and they say, come on, there's a bad smell coming from her house. And really, we have to do something about it. That night, the board of aldermen met. وفي تلك الليلة اجتمع مجلس شيوخ البلدة. ما شاء الله. 3 gray beards and 1 younger man, a member of the rising generation. So here the Majlis Shuyukh board of aldermen, you know, 3 old men and a young man. And they said, you know, it's simple enough. He said, send her word to have her place cleaned up, give her a certain time to do it in, and if she don't, so this is their decision, to send her a message saying, clean your house, otherwise we will come and clean it. And the judge said, damn it, sir. Damn it, sir. Judge Stevens said, will you accuse a lady to her face of smelling bad? Yeah, it's very hard to say this to a lady. You know, to say to a woman, oh, you smell bad, you know? It's very hard. You know, you say, nobody can say this to a woman. You know, and you know, saying, I can't say this to her. I can't. You know, saying, how can you accuse a lady to her face? You know, meaning immediately in her face to tell her directly that there is, you know. So the next night after midnight, 4 men crossed Miss Emily's lawn and slung about the house like burglars. sniffing along the base of the brickwork and at the cellar openings, while one of them performed a regular sewing motion with his hand out of a sack slung from his shoulder. They broke open the cellar door and sprinkled lime there, and in all the outbuildings. As they recrossed the lawn, a window that had been dark was lightened, and Miss Emily sat in it, the light behind her, and her upright torso motionless as that of an idol. They crept quietly across the lawn and into the shadow of the locusts that lined the street. After a week or two, the smell went away. So she couldn't open, she wouldn't open, she didn't open for them. So they had to come to her garden, to her front door garden and back door garden, everywhere. And they had to sprinkle, as you can see here, really. And they were like, as he said, like burglars, like thieves coming to her house. And they were really, as you can see, sprinkling lime, like putting, you know, some kind of maybe sanitizers or some, like, you know, perfume smelling kind of powder or something to make the building or to make the smell better. But you know, no powder could make such a smell. No powder can change it. Yeah. We have a saying in Arabic which is really good here. Huh? لا يصلح العطار ما أفسد الدهر. Isn't it? Hello? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, really here that they tried and tried and tried, but really the smell went by itself. It's not the lime. You know, this lime thing, like lemon kind of smelling a little bit. Yeah, you can sprinkle it, but the mixture of the dead body, it's the Homer Baron's body, the horrible smell of the body that she killed. The man she poisoned to death. The man who was supposed to be a good man, a nice man. Maybe he was a nice man, I don't know, but the narrator said he was not nice because, she believed, or they believed, or he told her that he's not a marrying man, or he's not interested in marriage, or he does not want to get married. Just put it like this. He does not want to get married. So people can have their own ideas about it. So that's why she killed him. My God. I mean, how can this happen? You don't go on killing people if you don't marry you. But you know, it really happened. I know a story. It's not a story. It's a real, really, it's a real thing. Honestly, it's a real story. One of our students who was studying in England. Well, I'm not going to say the story because really it's very bad. But it's exactly like that. You can't kill somebody if they don't want to marry you. Come on.
You can't kill somebody if they don't want to marry you, for God's sake. You can't. You cannot. And that's why here really Emily went absolutely mad. She is mad. She is sick. She is horrible. She is ugly. Yeah. But again, we say, well, I told you before last time, because as I said to you, maybe it is her society. She was driven by her terrible father. Once, twice, thrice, 5 times, 8 times, 10 times, I don't know how many times. Every time a man knocked at their door, I want to marry your daughter, he would kick them away. What a father. What a father. What a horrible father. He's not a father. He's a bad man. He's not a father. Fathers are not like that. Fathers are not like that. Absolutely. Are not like that. Come on. That was when people had begun to feel sorry for her. You see, so.
But Mr. Maybe he was attached to her and he didn't want to lose her.
رزان ما في أب في العالم بيمنع زواج بنته كرمال إنه تضل عنده يعني تعيش معاه تخدمه ها؟
Maybe just till he died and he
يعني come on she can get married and she can look after him. She can get married and she can look after him. That's nature. That is nature. That is nature. Full stop. No father would do it. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. But if there are fathers like this, then they are crazy. Like this one here. He is crazy to have done this. He drove his daughter to craziness, to being crazy herself, and he drove his daughter to being a mad woman and to be a criminal. Yeah. He was to blame. He was to blame. Yeah. So really, the story here tells us that the people of the town, they started to feel sorry for her. Say, what a shame. Yeah, what a shame. People in our town, remembering how old lady Wyatt, her great aunt, had gone completely crazy at last. Oh. So here now we have this idea that the people in her family normally are going crazy. So come on, is there a crazy streak in her family? Is there a crazy line in her family? So here the narrator is laughing at her family. Believe that the Griersons held themselves a little too high for what they really were. Sometimes, we sometimes say people, they think they are high, but you say, why? يعني لا شايف حالك انت يا اخي ها why? Yeah, I know people like that. Absolutely. And you ask them, why the arrogance? When we know, يعني إن الله لا as we know, كل مختال فخور. لماذا? Why? Why to be so high, thinking yourself too high when you are not? When you are not. Why do you blow yourself up as if you are somebody when you are not? None of the young men were quite good enough for Miss Emily and such. This is it. everybody, nobody was enough for her, you know, according to her father. We had long thought of them as a tableau. Miss Emily, a slender figure in white, in the background, her father spraddled silhouette in the foreground, his back to her and clutching a horsewhip, the two of them framed by the back-flung front door. So when she got to be 30 and was still single, we were not pleased exactly, but vindicated. Even with insanity in the family, she wouldn't have turned down all of her chances if they had really materialized. So her father here, notice, with a horsewhip. Every man knocking at his door, he will whip him by his whip. Get out. I have no daughters for marriage. Get lost. Hey, get out. And she would be sad, you know. Notice here the narrator, of course. You know, he kicked every man who knocked at his door in a decent way because he thinks he's above, he's so rich, so high. Yeah. When her father died, it got about the house. It got about that the house was all that was left to her. And in a way, people were glad. Why? When her father died, you know, everybody was happy. Why? Because they say, what a shame. Now this young lady, she can live a normal life. She can marry the man she wants to marry, or, you know, to live a normal life. So that's why the town was happy for her, really. This is the idea. At last, they could pity Miss Emily, being left alone and a pauper. Ah, a pauper? A pauper? She's a poor young lady. A pauper? So why the father was kicking all these men then, and he's claiming to be a rich, high class, when his young daughter now is left being a pauper, you know, very poor, absolutely poor, hopeless, helpless, poor, helpless, hopeless girl. She had become humanized. Allah, Allah, humanized, you see. Now she become a human being. Now she's like everybody else. She is like us, normal human being. Now she too would now, notice again, now she too would now the old thrill and the old despair of a pennies, more or less. You know, now she would be like us, whether she had a penny or more than a penny, or whether she's poor or not, whether she has money or not, she's like everybody else. Now she's going to be like us. So notice really the narrator then he really is talking about this terrible class question here. Really, that's the idea. The horrible class question. And now the narrator again brings us back again to the day when her father died. So we are brought back some years before that. The day after his death, all the ladies prepared to call at the house and offer condolence and aid, as is our custom. So here really the idea, and I think we have this in Syria. I don't know if you have it here in Oman. When somebody dies, you know, people go to their house, to their place, And for the first maybe 3-4 days, 5 days, they cook for them and they give them food, and they come to them and they offer condolences and things like that. And here really the idea is the same when he's saying that, but notice here the ladies. Why the ladies? Because you know the only person left in the house is a young lady. So that's why the ladies decided to come to her, because she's a lady, like them. So to offer help and condolences, as you can see. Miss Emily met them at the door, dressed as usual, and with no trace of grief on her face. So she would welcome them, and she doesn't look sad. Why she's not sad? Yeah, because Emily thought that she was imprisoned and her jailer has died. Her father was her jailer, really. He was her, if you like, the prison guard, if you like, or the jailer, I'm saying here. Yeah. The narrator is saying that she was happy that he has, it's good that he had died. Now she can live the way she should be, like a human being. So that's why, she was not in the least, sad for him, because the narrator said no trace of a grief. Yani, not a single sign of grief on her face, nothing. Her face doesn't show at all. No sign of grief. She told them that her father was not dead. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. So now we have another problem. What's wrong with her? She said, my father is not dead. Like, ya aini ya ruhi, Allah khalliki. Huh? She told them that her father was not dead. She did that for 3 days with the ministers calling on her and the doctors trying to persuade her to let them dispose of the body. Just as they were about to resort to law and force, she broke down and they buried her family. And they buried her father quickly. Huh? Why was she saying that her father was not dead? What do you think? Why? Why? Maybe. Is it because she likes him, she loves him, she wants to keep his body?
No.
What's wrong with her?
Maybe she is acting from the people that she is sad.
Yeah, but you can see here the narrator is saying that she really did not want them to take him and to bury him. And then only when she broke down, means she couldn't, finally she couldn't, face them, and they had to take his body and bury him, her father. I mean, this shows again to us how crazy. The narrator is saying there's something wrong with this woman, not only because her father did not let her marry. Maybe there's something wrong, mentally wrong in her. There's something really strange about her to say that my father is not dead. For 3 days, she didn't allow anybody to come in. we start to wonder, why? What's wrong with her? There's something really strange and horrifying. There's some kind of disease in her mind then. Not only killing Homer Baron later on, we shall see. She killed him because he didn't want to marry her. But there's something else in her mentality to have done all what she had done. I mean, to keep the dead body of her father for 3 days and say, my father is not dead, and get lost. Come on, is that natural? It's not natural. Absolutely. It is not natural and it's not normal. And Emily here must have something in her mind, something which is strange, something which is weird, something which is sick, some kind of schizophrenia, some kind of split mentality, some kind of really psychological disease. Absolutely. I would call this a disease. It is a disease. And this disease later on appeared in killing Homer Baron. Because normally, if somebody wouldn't marry you say, okay, goodbye, ma salama. Allah yassar lak. Allah. Come on, you don't kill people like that. So really the narrator wants to tell us here something, that wait a minute, and later on when she kills Homer Baron, don't think completely that she killed him because he did not marry her. Because there's something really terrible deep down in her mind. Something really crazy and weird. So that's why here the narrator said, we did not say she was crazy then. وقتها حينها لم نقل بأنها كانت مجنونة. وقتها لم نقل. You see, this is it. But now we did not say she was crazy then. But now we believed she had to do that. We remembered all the young men her father had driven away, and we knew that with nothing left, she would have to cling to that which had robbed her, as people will. To cling to that which had robbed her. She would have to cling to that which had robbed her. يعني كيف يعني؟ How? To cling to somebody who robbed you? On the contrary, you should get rid of the person who wanted to kill you or rob you. How do you want to cling to somebody, to want to keep somebody who wanted to kill you? Come on. I mean, there is really here funny irony here. She would have to cling to that which had robbed her, as people will. كما هي العادة. I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think here the narrator is giving us a really paradoxical, amazing statement here, that people normally would like to keep or to have, or to continue to have, or to continue to protect, or whatever. The same person who wanted to kill you, the same person who wanted to rob you, to take all the life from you. How? That's not possible. There must be something else.
Doctor?
Yeah.
We have a saying in Arabic that explain this situation. We
Yeah.
said الطير يحب سجانة.
ايش؟ الطير ايش؟
يحب سجانة.
سجانة.
Yeah.
الطير يحب سجانة. We have another saying in Arabic.
القط يحب خنقة، شيء من القبيل.
Who was saying this?
مي رزان.
يا رزان، يا الحب، يا الحب، يا القط يحب خناقه، يا القط يحب خناقه. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we believe in this, then yeah, yeah, in this case, we can agree that this is the idea. I don't think so. Anyway, this is the really funny funny thing here about it, and this is the second section stopped. Again, as I said, the divisions here, this small, if you like, chapters, as you can see, if you can call this a chapter, you know, it's to do with the jump, again, the jump in time. She was sick for a long time. When we saw her again, her hair was cut short, making her look like a girl, with a vague resemblance to those angels in colored church windows, sort of tragic and serene. Notice again the narrator using when we saw her, we. Now, of course, I didn't say this to you before, but most of the narrative, as we have seen, you know, the voice always saying we. We didn't say, we believed, we remembered, we knew, isn't it? You see, for example, in the previous paragraph here. Again, the same thing here. The narrator said, after her father died, then she started to be different. She had her hair cut and, you know, looking as if to say, making her look like a girl. The town had just let the contracts for paving the sidewalks. And in the summer after her father's death, they began to work. The construction company came with niggers and mules and machinery, and a foreman named Homer Barron, a Yankee, a big, dark, ready man with a big voice and eyes lighter than his face. The little boys would follow in groups to hear him cuss the niggers, and niggers singing in time to the rise and fall of pigs. Pretty soon he knew everybody in town. Whenever you heard a lot of laughing anywhere about the square, Homer Barron would be in the center of the group. Presently, we began to see him and Miss Emily on Sunday afternoons, driving in the yellow-wheeled buggy and the matched team of bays from the livery stable. So here the narrator again quickly summarized the whole scene in one paragraph. After her father died, things changed. She became different. She had a haircut, and then she knew this man. How come she knew this man? This man was like a head man or like a head worker, you know, as he called them foreman, you know, like, you know, in a, as you can see, a construction company. And the workers were niggers. You know, again, here we see the class, again, differentiation. And
when you say Yankee, he didn't tell her a Yankee, didn't tell us Yankee. Does he mean a white man or a brown or what? He didn't say, but of course he said a Yankee, big, dark, ready-made, or ready man, and so on. So the idea he was to say, well, here we have, a different man altogether from this town. He doesn't belong to this town. So he's a stranger to this town, and he's a Yankee man, a white man, but he's maybe a working class man, because he's a foreman, meaning a worker. Yes, a foreman, but originally foremen are workers in the same way. So here he's saying that the people of the town, they started to see him and to know him very well. And the story went out about it that he started to go out with Emily. And everybody thought, oh, good. Yeah, now Emily, she's living her normal life. And now she has a boyfriend. That's good. Maybe they will get married, At first, we were glad that Miss Emily would have an interest, because the ladies all said, of course, a Grierson wouldn't think seriously of a northerner, a day laborer. Yeah. So here, everybody in town, because they think she's Grierson, meaning she's high class, she wouldn't marry a normal worker. And not a normal worker only, but a northerner. Somebody from the north, meaning open-minded person who is against slavery. And notice, a day laborer, عامل يومي مياوم, which is, we say, this is the lowest rank in workers. Like when you go here, for example, you go here in Oman, you go in front of these supermarkets or hypermarkets or everywhere, you find men sitting on pavements, and these are day laborers. They sit there waiting for their luck, whoever will come and pick them up to go and do some work for them. These would be called day laborers, means they are not employed. Sometimes they work 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, maybe 1 day every 10 days, or maybe 1 day every 2 weeks. You never know, you and your luck. So this is the idea, day laborer. As I said, this is the lower rank of laborers. But there were still others, older people, who said that even grief could never cause real lady to forget noblesse oblige without calling it noblesse oblige. Again, here you can see using the word in French, really, the obligation of the nobility. Nobility, obliged to nobility, meaning they are mocking her. She comes from the nobility. She's a noble lady, therefore she will not marry a worker. Well, I don't know. I will stop here and I will continue next time. Boys and girls, thank you. And if you have any question, you can ask. I will stop recording and I will leave you. And goodbye to all of you. If you need